Hello. This is the introduction to the More You Know Mondays podcast, which is hosted by myself, Kory. You might be familiar with my voice from another podcast that I host, which is called My Opinion Means Nothing. And if you listen to that podcast, thank you for listening. And don't worry, that is still an ongoing podcast. This is just another one. And if you haven't listened to that podcast before, well, you've got another podcast to listen to. So, with that being said, I think I will start by saying that this whole process is kind of a bit weird for me. Not the podcast process, partly. Well, okay, what I mean by that is the recording. The recording is a bit weird for me. And what I mean by that is, I feel like I've said that a couple of times. We'll find out in post. And so what I mean by that, yep, definitely said it a couple of times. Is that usually in my other podcast I host it with a co-host or there's a guest, so I'm not usually recording on my own. So it's going to be an interesting journey for both the listener and the recorder. So yeah, with that being said, we will jump into just what this is all about. So it's called the More You Know Mondays. So that, as a title, Monday is in there. So it's going to be a weekly podcast. And the more you know, the more you grow. Which is kind of my spin-off, like, knowledge is power. Because knowledge is 100% still power. Like, the only real power you have in this world is what you know, or who you know. Because that's what gets you further. But, like, other than that fact, I like random facts. And if you have listened to My Opinion Means Nothing, I occasionally talk about with my guest or my co-host, like, a random fact. I just mention it and then we kind of like discuss it, and like if there's like other facts about it, we just talk about it, and it's just kind of interesting to discuss. So I kind of actually started the More You Know Mondays as a kind of an experiment on Instagram. So I started doing this, posting every Monday a new interesting random fact. But the problem with that was that sometimes it was kind of a bit hit and miss. I never always posted every Monday, so it was a bit off. So I wanted to now I took it back into the drawing board, and I was just like, well, there has to be another way how I can get this out, because I still want to share interesting random facts, or just things in history that have happened, or just interesting people. I still want to share these things, but I needed another platform for it. So basically this podcast was born. And that's what it's going to be about. I'll be sharing like interesting random facts. Like my favorite random fact is that koala bears, koala bears' fingerprints are kind of indistinguishable from human fingerprints. Like, so much so that if a koala bear left their fingerprint at a crime scene, they would think it was human until they done some real analysis and they couldn't find the person because it was a koala. But yeah, that's like a cool random fact that I found one time before an episode, and I was like, yo, whoa, is this real? Because, like, you know, when you look up random facts and sometimes you look into them, it's like, this is kind of bizarre. I think that on my app I have downloaded on my phone, it gives me random facts. There was one that popped up because I saw it said that Michael Jackson tried to buy Marvel Comics back in the 90s. And that was all it said. And I was just like, what? Whoa. That's how, what do you mean he tried to buy? That would have been that would have been different. Like, Marvel, like, yo, could you imagine? Anyway, so I saw that fact and I was like, whoa, let me look deeper into it, because I couldn't just have that fact just sitting there and just be like, oh, okay, cool. And I was like, nah, I need to find out, like, the finer details. Why was Michael Jackson trying to buy Marvel Comics? So I delved in a bit deeper, and I started looking into it, and I was like, from my research, basically, I found out that the reason why Michael Jackson was attempting to buy Marvel Comics back in the 90s was because for the first Spider-Man film, Michael Jackson wanted to be Peter Parker. So he was trying to obviously buy Marvel Comics so he could make, like, it wasn't enough, like, he didn't want to just, he wanted to buy Marvel Comics so he could just, like, make that happen. Like, he could be Peter Parker. Could you imagine, like, a world where instead of who was the first Spider-Man? Was it Tobey Maguire? Let me just quickly look that up. I'm pretty sure it is Tobey Maguire. But could you imagine Spider-Man on the Spider-Man? Sorry, like I said, this is weird. I usually have another person. I didn't have plans to start talking about a fact, but it's just, they just kind of spooned off, like spooned off? Spun off? There's a word that I'm looking for, like, kind of spitballed, maybe? Who knows? Like, there's not another person to, like, let me know if they know what I'm saying, so that's all you've got right now, and just me. So, who is it? Yeah, Tobey Maguire. Yeah, I was right. Bang, bang. Check me out with the name recalls. I'm not usually that good with actors' names and remembering, like famous actors. I mean, remembering other than the big ones. Like, I don't usually remember the other people, not because I don't remember them. I don't usually remember their names, because, you know, I usually just remember names that I use regularly, like, if that makes sense, or I need to know. Who knows how my brain works? I don't. Scientists don't know how my brain works either. Well, they know to an extent, you know, but, like, don't you think that's bizarre that we know more about the bottom of the ocean than we do our own brains? But anyway, back to the whole point of what I was saying about the interesting fact about Michael Jackson wanting was going to buy Marvel Comics back in the 90s, and it was because he wanted to be Spider-Man in the first Spider-Man movie. So imagine a world where it wasn't Tobey Maguire, as the first Spider-Man, but instead it was Michael Jackson in all three of the trilogies. That would have been different films, different world. Maybe it did happen in a parallel universe. Who knows? But they all know in the parallel universe. But obviously, because we're not sure, or we don't know if there is really an existence of parallel universes. So, I mean, I believe in it, but I believe that the moment you have a new thought, do you know when you have those what if thoughts? Like when you have those what if thoughts, that creates a new parallel universe where it did happen. Or yeah. That's just one of my thoughts in my brain. Like I said, I'm not sure how it works, but it works, innit? Yeah. So the More You Know Mondays, every Monday, interesting random facts, that could be about now or from history. If you're interested, stick around, because the first official episode will be dropping either the 2nd of November, Monday the 2nd of November, or Monday the 9th of November. So be there or be not listening. I don't know. I didn't want to say be square because I'm just rambling now. This has been the intro. I hope you check it out. More to come soon. Like I said, this is just an introduction, so you have a little taste of what the podcast not might, what am I doing? Cancel myself. This might not happen. Nah, it definitely will. But, yeah, thanks for listening, and I hope you've enjoyed the introduction. As I said before, there's more to come. The first episode will be out sometime over the 1st or 2nd week of November. Just watch the space. Peace.